For years, decades really, most football fans, myself included, thought English players at FC Barcelona were, well, pretty rare. Maybe just a famous exception like Gary Lineker. But what if that's actually missing a huge part of the story? A hidden history. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the really quite intriguing and often overlooked story of Englishmen playing for FC Barcelona.
Exactly. And our mission really is to uncover that full, surprising story. The Englishmen who actually wore that famous Blaugrana shirt. We're going to use our sources today to, well, challenge some common ideas about how international football really was, even in its very early days. It goes way beyond what you might think.
Okay, so let's kick things off with something recent, something that might seem a bit obscure. A lot of people would probably struggle to name more than, say, one Englishman who played for Barca, but here's where it gets really interesting. In 2018, Mcuain, remember him? Former Arsenal youth player. He actually played for Barcelona's first team.
You did, yeah.
And the significant thing, he was the first Englishman to do that in 29 years. And, get this, it was in a Catalan Super Cup match. A friendly, really, against Espanyol.
Right. And that 29-year gap, it sounds like forever, doesn't it? It absolutely highlights how rare it's been in, recent memory. Creates this feeling that English players there are almost unheard of. But the fascinating thing is how that perception kind of masks this much richer, much earlier history of English players at the club. A story most people just don't know.
Yeah, for most of us, I suppose Gary Lineker is the name that immediately springs to mind. He played there, 1986 to 1989. He's definitely the most recent, really high-profile English player they had.
Exactly. Lineker's the familiar one, the touchstone. But if we rewind, way back into Barcelona's formative years, the list isn't just one or two names. It's surprisingly long. We're talking about not just individuals, but families. Englishmen who are right there at the start. Foundational, almost. You've got Arthur Whitty playing right from 1899 to 1905, the very beginning.
1899. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Then there's a whole cluster of Morris brothers. Henry and Junior Morris, both around 1901, 1902, and Samuel Morris in 1902 as well. Then the Wallace brothers, Charles Wallace, he was there a good while, 1907 to 1914. Percy Wallace, too, 1909 to 1911.
Okay, so multiple sets of brothers. Interesting.
Right, and it continues.
Yeah.
The early 1910s, you had Billy Lamb and Jack Alderson, both 1912, 1913, and Jack Greenwell, same period, 1912 to 1917. Greenwell was a key figure, actually. He didn't just play, he went on to manage the club for quite some time, cementing that English influence, you could say. And one more before Lineker, there was Harold Stamper, played in 1922 and 1923.
That's quite a list. It really turns the common idea on its head. So what's the bigger picture here then? What does this all mean? You've got the significant chunk of Englishmen right when the club is starting out, and then basically nothing until Lineker.
Yeah.
Then another huge gap until Mcuain's one-off appearance. It seems so counterintuitive for a club that feels so deeply Catalan today. Why were they there?
Well, it's definitely more than just, bit of historical trivia. It fundamentally changes how we might see the origins of global football. If you connect the dots, a lot of these early English guys were part of the British expat community in Barcelona, drawn there for business, engineering, trade, that kind of thing. And they brought football with them. It was, after all, an English game back then. They brought it to Catalonia.
Ah, okay. So they weren't just hired guns, so to speak. They were part of the local fabric in a way.
Exactly. They weren't just foreign players in the modern sense. They were integral to setting up the club, its early culture. This extensive early presence, it really challenges those standard ideas about football's internationalization. It shows that right from day one, clubs like Barcelona were actually, way more cosmopolitan, more globally connected than the sort of nationalistic stories we sometimes tell about the sport's early history.
Right. That makes sense. It paints a very different picture. So, there we have it. A genuinely surprising trip through Barca's English links, from that recent friendly appearance all the way back to the club's pioneers at the turn of the 20th century. It definitely reshapes what I thought I knew about the club.
It does, doesn't it? And it makes you think, these Englishmen playing such a key role in founding a club that would eventually become this huge symbol of Catalan identity. This often overlooked history tells us that football's global roots might be deeper, more tangled than we usually acknowledge. So maybe the question for you listening is, what does this tell us about how international football clubs really were from the start? And maybe how does that change how you think about what defines a club's identity even today?